Hey everybody, welcome back to another GMG review. Today we are looking at the next of the Loyalist Legions from the Liber Astartes, the Space Wolves, the 6th Legion Astartes. So once again, the whole goal behind these reviews is to inform you a bit about the differences between these legions in Warhammer the Horus Heresy, give you some insight into what you might want to start, and help you make up your mind about what models maybe to collect initially if you're looking to add stuff on top of the Age of Darkness starter sets. So, what do we got here? Well, one of the few legions that doesn't just have additional sort of like character choices and elites. The Space Wolves were so divergent as a legion already after the Great Crusade that they have their own specific troop choices you can build. So this is actually going to be one of those ones where you might want to be hunting for bits like initially right out of the gate to make some cool special models. So what do you get access to with the Space Wolves keyword? Well, you get bestial savagery. So your whole army gets this stuff right here. Unit made up entirely of models with the infantry unit subtype, and the Legion Astartes Space Wolf special rule that chooses to run in the movement phase may still make a shooting attack in the shooting phase and declare a charge in the assault phase of the same turn. But any shooting attacks are going to be snapshots, and the unit cannot run, units that cannot run, such as Cataphracti, or models that do not have the vehicle or infantry unit type, gain +1 weapon skill on any turn in which they successfully charge, even if that attack charge is considered disordered. So basically, you wouldn't be able to do it, so instead you get +1 weapon skill on any turn in which you charge. Yeah, even if it's disordered. So like, you don't get to take the run and charge bonus, but you're going to get hit a bit higher and harder when you go through. Models with the vehicles unit subtype and this special rule make ram attacks increase their strength of any hits inflicted by +1 to a maximum of 10. You can go to the Vaults of Mordecai, where you can basically get your cool specific weapons and stuff. The Lords of Winter. So your Legion Centurions, Cataphracti Centurions, and Tartarus Centurions can become the special character types. And Wolves of Fenryak, you can take their Warlord Traits. All right, the Space Wolves Advanced Reaction. Now, these are the once per game reactions that your Legion can do. No prey escapes the wolf. This advanced reaction may be made once per battle in the opposing player's turn. When any enemy unit with one or more models within 12 of a friendly unit made up entirely of models with the Legion Astartes Space Wolves special rule is moved during the movement phase. Once the enemy unit that triggered this reaction has been moved, but before any other units are moved, a single friendly unit made up entirely of models with the Space Wolf special rule that can draw line of sight to the enemy unit that moved may immediately move a number of inches equal to the highest initiative characteristic in the unit and then declare a charge targeting the enemy unit that moved within 12. A charge declared as part of this reaction is resolved immediately, and if successful, the combat will be fought as normal in the following assault phase with the charging unit gaining all the benefits for charging. So basically, you move within 12 of them, they make their initiative value move, and then roll a charge. So you get to charge during your opponent's movement phase once per game. That can be legit. Because remember, your primarch can do that if you want, or your Terminator squad, or a bunch of things. All right, so Warlord Traits, these are all available to your Space Wolf Warlords, and some might come preloaded with them, obviously, as well. The Howl of Mordecai, once per battle, the controlling player of a Warlord with this trait can declare the use of this trait at the start of their turn. For the duration of the player turn, only all friendly models with the Space Wolf special rule gain +1 strength if they are part of a successful charge. In addition, an army whose warlord has this trait can make an additional reaction in the opposing player's movement phase, as long as they're alive. And then Hunger of the Void, gain an additional wound at the end of any assault phase in which he inflicts at least one unsaved wound on an enemy model. So this cannot increase your wounds characteristic above your starting value, including any bonuses for like war gear items. But if this effect is triggered while the warlord has their maximum number of wounds, they get +1 attack and strength until the end of the controlling player's next turn. So you eat the dead. I mean, people talked about the Blood Angels being crazy, but yeah, some people are kind of a little dark there in the Space Wolf army. As addition, you can take an additional reaction during the assault phase as long as you're still alive. And then Crownbreaker, so this is, the Space Wolves are getting sent around basically to watch the other Primarchs by the Emperor, because Russ was the self-styled Emperor's executioner. He kept all the other Primarchs in line. The Warlord and all enemy models in any unit that are joined, the Warlord and all models in any unit he's joined gain preferred enemy independent characters. These models also gain Feel No Pain 5+ when locked in combat with one or more enemy models with the independent character rule. In addition, you get an additional reaction in the movement phase as long as you're still alive. So, yeah, you go kill the enemy leaders. All right, Rights of War. You do get several here. You get 3 Rights of War, which is kind of nice. Additional ways that you can play your army. Now, these variant rules, you have to pick one as long as you have a Praetor, and they allow you to just kind of change the force org of your army. So the Black Watch, these are basically at the behest of Rust and the Sigillite. You'd be, you know, act as bodyguards and executioners to other primarchs. This is when the Space Wolves were just kind of like floating around other legions and not really talking about why, but then occasionally trying to kill the primarchs when they looked like they were stepping out of line. All models with the Legion of Astartes Space Wolves special rule in this detachment gain hatred traitors and preferred enemy primarch. So like, you're just like always hunting down enemy primarchs. All models in a detachment with this Right of War gain Fearless when locked in combat with a Primarch that has the Traitor Special Rule or otherwise Traitor Allegiance. And when a unit from the detachment with this Right of War charges a target enemy unit that contains a model with the Primarch unit subtype, they get +2 the charge rule when determining the charge distance. So you're just basically Primarch killers. Just you know, it does. The Space Wolves do what they say on the tin. Open tin, delete Primarch. It didn't really ever work, but it was a cool idea. And then limitations, this Right of War can only be taken by allied detachments with the Legion of Astartes Space Wolves faction. It may never be part of a primary detachment. So you can always have a little group of Space Wolves, and I'm totally making this, to hang out with the other Loyalist legions, to keep an eye on Primarchs, and if one of the Primarchs turns out to be bad, they'll go after them. A detachment with this Right of War may not include any models of the vehicle or Primarch unit type, and you may only be Loyalists. I kind of love that. It's like an Army of Renown allied detachment that anybody can take. I think tons of people are going to make these because it's just an HQ and a troop choice basically, right? But you could take like you could take Grey Slayers, you could take a bunch of things. Yeah, I'm definitely making a little Black Watch to ally with my other armies, especially because I'm playing Raven Guard, right? So it just makes total sense. So what's cool is I think even if you're picking a different legion in here, that would be a fun little like 10-man or like 20-man model project to make to have as allies. Right of War, the Pale Hunters. All models in a Grey Slayer pack or Grey Stalker pack from a detachment with this Right of War gain hit and run. And when making a hit and run move, may choose to move a number of inches up to the distance rolled rather than a full distance, so long as they remain at least 1 inch away from the enemy. On the turn in which a unit from a detachment using this Right of War enters play as a flanking assault, all models gain Fleet 2 and Rage 2 until the end of the player turn in which they enter play. And up to 3 units from this detachment using this Right of War, made up entirely of models with the infantry or cavalry unit subtype, may be upgraded to grant all models in this unit outflank for no additional point cost. Excuse me. So basically you gain outflank, you get bonuses to outflank, and you get bonus hit and run for Pale Hunters. You only get a single heavy support choice though, and at least 1 unit from a detachment using this Right of War must be assigned to a flanking assault. So if you take this to get the hit and run, you also have to flank with at least 1 unit. And then Right of War, the Bloodied Claw. Once per battle at the start of this player's turn, a player whose army includes a detachment using this Right of War may declare the Bloody Claw. Once the Bloody Claw is declared, and until the start of the controlling player's next turn, all models who are Space Wolves benefit from the following rules. Add +1 to the score used to determine the winner of an assault. And this is not cumulative, and no individual combat can have more than 1 from this rule. And then gain the Fleet 2 Furious Charge 1 special rule, and gain the Stubborn special rule. Or if they already have Stubborn, they ignore all negative modifiers to leadership and gain Fearless instead. Sorry, if they're already Stubborn or ignore modifiers to leadership, they gain Fearless instead. And then limitation, during the turn in which the controlling player has declared the Bloody Claw, all units that include 1 or more model with the Space Wolf special rule in its detachment, capable of charging, must charge. And if multiple eligible targets are available, the controlling player may choose to declare charge instead. So these are neat because they don't require a whole bunch. I love that this one's an ally detachment, but Bloody Claw you could just always take. And then if you decide to, it's like calling a WA basically for orcs. You decide this turn is the turn you freak out and start biting people. And then, yeah, your armory. So what can you have? A Fenryak axe. If you have a chainsword, you can take a Fenryak axe instead. It's +1 strength, melee, and reaping blow 1. And reaping blow 1, I think, is if you're outnumbered. Let me double check. Reaping blow 1. It's in the core rules, of course, not in here, I don't think. Reaping blow. Radphage, Rending. Oh no, maybe it isn't here. Because this thing's chock full of special rules as well. Reaping blow 1. Reach, plasma burn, Reaping Blow. If this model is in base contact with more than one enemy model in the initiative step in which they fight, they gain a number of attacks equal to the X value. So yeah, so basically if you're in base contact with more than one model, you get an additional attack. And then Frost Blades. You can replace all your power weapons with these for 5 points each. Any model with both the Space Wolves and Independent Character special rule can take a Great Frost Blade instead. So a Frost Sword is +1 AP3 melee specialist from Reaping Blow 1. Axe is +1 AP2 specialist unwieldy Reaping Blow 1. Frost Claws, melee specialist Shred Reaping Blow 1. So basically everybody's getting bonus attacks for fighting when they're outnumbered. And then a Great Frost Blade is +2 AP2 melee Reaping Blow 1 and 2-handed. And you can take Aether Rune Armor. If you're a Space Wolf independent character, it's +25 points. You get a 2+ armor save. And it's got all kinds of little bangles on it to get rid of psych powers. It protects you from the weird. In addition, increase your wounds by 1 and get Adamantium Will 4+. So very cool, like, you get a Dispel, basically. And that's very fitting with, like, the early Horus Heresy things where, like, yeah, there's Psychers in the Space Wolf army, but they don't think they're Psychers, and they have all their talismans and stuff to try and, like, kind of, like, ward off the evil eye. To, like, basically make it so that they don't believe magic exists. And then your Jarl, a Legion Praetor or Cataphractor Tartarus Praetor with the Space Wolf special rule, maybe upgrade to a Jarl for 10 points and gains the Counterattack 2 special rule, which, I mean, why wouldn't you? A model with the Jarl upgrade may also be given the Skirmish subtype at no additional point cost, so you can join Skirmishers and have a 3-inch coherency. And then your Consularis is a Pack Thane for 10 points. So any the Centurion types can be upgraded to have this. And it's 10 points, and you get counterattack +1, and you may also be given the Skirmish subtype. But you may not take a Legion Scimitar Jetbike or Spatha Combat Jet. And then Speaker of the Dead. This is basically your, like, Wolf Priest. You become Leadership 10, and all models with the Legion Straight Space Wolf special rule in a unit that they join gain Stubborn and Hatred Everything. Hatred everything, because he tells a story. Basically, he tells a story about the dead. So he tells a story about the time that, like, whoever's in the opposing army wronged you for some reason, and just, like, jacks up the unities with. It may take an Arthesium and a master-crafted power wall for additional points, and may not select 2 lightning claws or a boarding shield. So I love that. I love that it's basically the Wolf Priest. And then a Runecaster for 45 points. So a Runecaster gains the Psyker subtype and must select one of the following disciplines, either Winds of Fenris, Divination, Telekinesis, or Biomancy, and you gain the Adamantium 4+ special rule. You get a power weapon, you get to take a force weapon, basically, or to buy a Psychic Hood for 15 points. And then the Winds of Fenris, you can take Wrath of the Death Wolf, it's a Psychic weapon, Assault 1, Death Brigade Force, and it's a template at Strength 5 AB4, or Storm Rot. Instead of taking a shooting attack, the controlling player of a Psyker with the Psychic power may select a friendly unit with at least 1 model within 6. That's composed entirely of models of the Infantry, Cavalry, or Dreadnought subtype. They gain 5+ Shrouding until the beginning of the controller's next shooting phase. When this power is used, you may improve it to Shrouded 3+ by making a Psychic test. All right, and then we're into Leman Russ, the Wolf King of Fenris, 450 points of big beef stick. So he is movement 8, weapon skill 8, strength 7. So he's one of the strong primarchs, but a bit slower, initiative 7. 7 attacks though. So he is fighty, punchy, and strong. He's armed with the armor of Elevagar, which is a 2+ armor, 4+ invul, which is increased to 3+ against flame, melta, plasma type weapons of any kind. In addition, enemy models in base contact with Russ suffer -1 to hit and assaults to a maximum of 6+ in any turn in which he makes a charge, because he is just slamming into you. The Axe of Hellwinter, which is interesting, and then the Sword of Bale Knight. He changed up weapons a lot during the Horus Heresy. The Axe of Hellwinter is +2 strength, so he's strength 9. AP2 melee, Sunder, Reaping Blow 1, and Mastercrafted, so he will jack up vehicles with that thing, because it's Sunder. It's strength 9 and AP2. And the Sword of Bale Knight is +1 strength, so strength 8. Melee, Murder, Strike 4+, Brutal 2, Fearsome Ruin, and Mastercrafted. That's your Primarch killer right there. Because he's Murder, Strike 4+, although that doesn't do anything against Primarchs, but Brutal 2, and then Fearsome Ruin. Any unit which suffers 1 or more casualties from a weapon with a special rule and makes a morale check during the assault phase must roll an additional D6 and for that check and keep the 2 highest dice. Basically, he makes an example out of you when he kills you. But Mastercraft is cool and Brutal 2 is cool, and AP2. So getting 2 wounds for 1. Most of the Primarchs have 6 wounds. That means 3 wounds will kill you. Yeah, big deal. Then he's got Scorn Spitter, which is his gun. It's a bolt weapon, 12-inch range, strength 4, AP 3, assault 3, rending 6+. And he's got his frag grenades. He's Primarch. He has Master Legion. For his special rule, it's going to be Howl of the Space Wolves, Howl of the Death Wolf. All models with Space Wolves, special rule in the same army as Leman Russ, gain +1 strength for the duration of any turn in which they charge. In addition, you get additional assault phase reaction. And then Howl of the Death Wolf, once per battle, Russ's controlling player can declare the use of this special rule at the start of their turn. For the rest of that player turn, all friendly models with Space Wolf special rule gain a +1 to their movement characteristic, and any enemy models that include one or more models with the Space Wolf special rule must any enemy units that include one or more models with the Space Wolf special rule must make an immediate pinning test. What? Oh, so any traitor Space Wolves, basically? So any enemy, so if Russ howls, any other enemy units that have one or more models with the Space Wolf special rule must make an immediate pinning test. Because he howls, so he freaks out all the traitors, and everybody else gets +1 strength. He's got counterattack 2 if you charge him, and he's a loyalist inside of the Space Wolves. That's it. He's pretty simple. I mean, like I said, he does what it says in the tin. He kills stuff real good. He has lots of beefy fighting. He's not very tricksy, but he jacks up his own guys. It's funny. Leman Russ is one of those like almost infantry commanders. He leads from the front. He'll be in the middle of his units. He has skirmish base, which means he has 3-inch coherency, which you'll see is important later on. And he has like some force multiplication and assaults for his guys. But you are making a very assault-heavy army. And then Frecky and Gary, the Wolfkin of Russ. I love that they're still in there. I still have the bled versions of these from Rogue Trader. Remember though, there are no wolves on Fenris, so these guys used to be Space Marines. Maybe they're not looking like Space Marines anymore. But they are. So it's funny because one of them is fightier than the other. So Frecky is movement 10, weapon skill 5, strength toughness 5, 4 wounds. Initiative 5 with 4 attacks, leadership 8, and save 5+. Gary's weapon skill 7. Strength toughness 5, but only 3 attacks, so he's a bit better at hitting. They fight with Tooth and Claw. It's user strength, AP 4, melee, and breaching 6+. They are Fearless, Fear 1, Rampage 2, Hammer Wrath 1, Feel No Pain 5+, and Bulky 4. And they are the Wolfkin of Russ. They're basically his HQ retinue. And they cannot be joined by any other model except Leman Russ. I said Lemon Rouge almost there for a second because we used to call him that as a joke. They don't take up any HQ choices though, obviously. So for 100 points, you can have his bodyguard follow him around. And it's nice because from a shooting point of view, if he's in the unit, and they're also skirmish, then you have 3-inch coherency with Russ. They can take shots from him if they need to. And you have a bunch of ablative wounds to keep him alive. Although you could just stick him in a Terminator squad and stuff too. All right, the Deathsworn. Oh, the Deathsworn. They were mostly turned into werewolves. 175 points, basic Space Marine style line, but 2 wounds and 2 attacks. You get 5 of them with bolt pistols, power axe, frag and crack grenades, stasis bombs, Emira class stasis bombs, and artificer armor. They can take a Rhino transport or Land Raider Proteus, and it doesn't count up as a force org chart slot. 5 extra ones for 30 points each. Any model can exchange their weapon for a power fist, and for every 5 models in it, you can take a Great Frostblade or a Thunder Hammer. And they can have melta bombs and rad grenades as well. They're part of the Cult of Morkai. They are able combatants and an important part of the ritual Cult of Morkai. Deathsworn packs may not be joined by models the independent character special other than models with the Speaker of the Dead or Council of Ruins console upgrades. So basically just your Wolf Priests and your Rune Priests. In addition, a Deathsworn pack may be selected as a retinue squad in a detachment that includes at least 1 model with that special rule. Instead of as an elite choice, then they don't take up a slot. And they must have that unit in it. Dreams of the Death Wolf. If a Deathsworn model loses its last wound during the assault phase, before I've made any attacks, place it to one side. In Initiative Step 1, all models placed to the side may make a single attack before being removed as a casualty. And then there's Stasis Bombs. Any unit which successfully charges a unit that includes 1 or more models with a Stasis Bomb must make a disordered charge. No choice. In addition, the controlling player of a unit that includes any models with these stasis bombs can choose to activate them when declaring a charge for that unit, but before any dice are rolled to determine the charge distance. It's activated until the start of the next turn, and may be activated again if another charge is declared later. While activated, all models must add both the Fleshbane and Gets Hot special rules to all attacks made in the fight subphase. All wounds inflicted with the Gets Hot special on a model with an Imperial class Stasis Bomb are resolved at AP value of the weapon that made the attack. So, like, you might hit yourself, basically, but you get Fleshbane, which is pretty sweet for killing just about anything, because you basically freeze them and start hacking on them. All right, so we're into the other elite choices. The Varagura Wolfgard Terminator Squad, 250 points. They're your, like, elite Terminators. They're all going to have cataphractii armor. They have frost swords and frost claws, or frost axes and combi bolters. They're heavy, and you get a Varagura and 1 Thane. They have 2 wounds each, 2 attacks each, 3 for the champion. They get Fear, Relentless, Counterattack 1, Stubborn, Hammer Wrath 2, Lord's Bane, and Bulky 2. And 5 or less models can go into a Land Raider Proteus, and basically doesn't count as a dedicated or a slot. You can take up to additional 5 guys for 45 points each. They can upgrade to have Power Fist, Chain Fist, and Thunder Hammers, or a Vexilla. You can have a heavy weapon. Any model in the unit may exchange Combi Bolter for a heavy weapon, like a Heavy Flamer or a Reaper Autocannon. So you can have 5 Heavy Flamers in the squad if you want. Or a second Frostblade Axe or Sword or Combi Weapon. And you can take a Great Frostblade and Gradient Harness on the Thane. Now, Lord's Bane, models of special rule can issue and accept challenges if they have the character subtype. In addition, when fighting in a challenge, if the enemy challenger is removed as a casualty, then they may add an additional +1 to the number of wounds caused for resolving which side's won the combat. So, yeah. They're your... It's funny because they're not chosen warriors. They're not like all characters, but you can get challenges with them. All right, now we're getting to the really cool, unique stuff with the Space Wolves. Their troop choice option, which is the Grey Slayers. So this is basically your version of a Legion tactical squad. They were so divergent that they had their own thing. Now, this is my favorite part about them. They're melee dudes. So you get 9 Grey Slayers and a Huskarl. They're all standard Space Marine stat line, but they're armed with bolt pistols, Fenrisian axes, and combat shields. So they have a 6+ invulnerable save in combat, frag and crack, and power armor. They get Heart of the Legion, which means they hold objectives with that sweet 6+ wound shrug, and are fearless next to them, counterattack 1, and relentless. So a Grey Slayer pack of no more than 10 models can take a Rhino or a Planet or Proteus, and then you get up to 12 extra models for 12 points each. Any model can change its combat shield for a bolter, so you can make them like a standard Legion tactical squad for free. And any model with a bolter can take a bayonet and chain bayonet. So you can make these right out of the box if you want. And that means that you've got, like, if you can find some little axes, basically, you're going to have bolt pistols, axes, and the Fusion Region Axe, remember, gives you that reap rule. And also you can take bayonets and chain bayonets if you want to. Any model can exchange their Fenrisian Axe for a power weapon, so you can have a whole unit of power weapons as troop choices. And for every 5 models, you can take heavy chainswords, power fists, and lightning claws. So all those sergeant bits too, you can have additionally in the squad, which is nice. If you're gonna make a big 20-man Grey Slayers box, the Age of Darkness starter set's gonna give you lots of extra sergeant bits that you can mix and match across the units. So kind of cool. It does mean you can play around a lot. And if you happen to have any of the just like Space Wolf kits from the standard 40k Space Wolves, if you've got tons of leftovers from that, or you can find them, you can make some very cool Grey Slayer packs right out of the box. You can take a Nuncio Vox, Hand Flamers, Plasma Pistols, Vexilla, and your Sergeant, of course, can take all the extra stuff, including a Thunder Hammer. So they'd be a great candidate for the Mark III box, because there's a Thunder Hammer in that box. Also, there's Chain Swords in that box, too. So if you want to give them all, I think you can give them all Chain Swords. No, you can give them all Power Weapons, or Fenrisian Axes. And then you can take Melta Bombs, Artificer Armor, and of course 2 Lightning Claws in the Sarge as well. So a very cool, flexible, does whatever you want it to do troop choice to replace the Legion Tactical Squad with, and very in-fitting with the Space Wolves. And then a Grey Stalker pack. This is your other Heart of the Legion unit. They have Bolt Pistols, Chain Swords, Frag and Crack Grenades, Power Armor. They have Relentless Counterattack 1 Heart of the Legion. You can take a Proteus or a Rhino if you have 10 or less guys. They can take an additional 10 guys for 12 points. They can exchange their... the entire unit can buy bolters or combat shields for a point, and then bayonets and chain bayonets. And these are basically the more, I guess, flexible units, because for every 5 models, you can also take combi weapons, flamers, Volkite chargers, rotor cannons, Volkite calibers, plasma guns, and melta guns. So kind of the same thing. You have chain swords. Again, the Mark III box set would be perfect for this, and then buy that upgrade box with the special weapons in it, because We're talking about 10-man Space Wolf squads, 2 special weapons in the squad, so you don't have to take support traces. Remember, both of these units are skirmish and line, so 3-inch coherency, and they count as scoring. And you get that mixed in melta gun and plasma gun too to make yourself super flexible. So really cool troop choices for the Space Wolves. Again, the weekend release of the support box and just the star set, you can make pretty much all this stuff. But that Mark III box to have the chainsword would be really nice too. And then for every 5 models in the unit, 1 model makes changes chainsword for a heavy chainsword, power fist, or lightning claw. The Grey Stalker pack would be 100% what you take for that little allied contingent of Space Wolves. And then the usual fixins for the Huskarl and the Nuncio Vox and all that stuff. All right, Geiger Fellhand. This is the special character from Prospero Burns. He's got that sweet lightning claw, the Fell Hand. He's basically a consul, so he's got a consul stat line. 3 wounds though instead of 2 and 3 attacks. He has bolt pistol, bolter, frag and crack grenades, refractor field, and artificer armor. He's a crown breaker. He automatically has the crown breaker warlord trait. And that means he goes up and fights independent characters. He's designed to be part of that allied detachment. And then the Fell Hand, +1 strength, AP 3, melee, mastercrafted, rending 5+, shred, and reaping blow 1. So he gains rending, reaping blow 1 on the lightning claw. And he's got relentless, counterattack 1, master legion. So even though he's just a consul, he gets the master legion rule, which is cool. And that means he can take, because you have that master legion, he can take you could basically take a primary detachment from your own legion, but then he can take he's designed basically to be able to take the Black Watch upgrade in your allied detachment. So this is the guy you want leading that, because he has Master Legion. And then Varl Redblade, he has a Hearth Splitter, Heavy Bolter, and Tartarus Terminator armor. So he's a Tartarus Terminator with a Heavy Bolter and Iron Halo. And he's your big sort of like Praetor guy. So weapon skill 6, 4 wounds though, and 4 attacks. He's got counterattack 1, fear 1, bulky 2, relentless, inexorable, and then he's the head taker. If Varl Redblade and all models in any friendly unit he joins gain preferred enemy infantry. In addition, an army with him as your warlord can take an additional reaction during the assault phase. He has battle cunning, up to 3 units from the infantry unit type in the same detachment gain the scout special rule, and then Hearth Splitter, his axe, +2 strength, AP2, melee, armor bane melee. Yeah, he is a murder machine in Tartarus armor. And that's it. So lots of cool fun stuff here. Again, you got your color section, all the beakies and different marks painted up in Fenryak gray. You'll notice that it doesn't do the sea gray of like a modern Space Marine army. It's in this like dark kind of like stormy gray. This is the way I actually painted my Space Wolf army because I wanted them in the pre-RC colors. And lots of bronze for the trim. I think it's a very cool sort of like grim color scheme. Ooh, Leviathan would be nice and plastic, and there's a color section. You got Russ, Frecky and Gary, there's Geiger, Praetor and Cataphracti armor, Terminators, Legion Tacticals, and a Grey Slayer with his cool shield. And axe. And that's it. So next up is going to be the Imperial Fists. I'm pumped for that. But if you're excited about Space Wolves, I think the greatest part about it is you're going to get a unique core to your army in the Grey Slayer and Grey Stalker packs. You've got everything pretty much you need to build them right now into those Mark III, Mark IV, and Corvus bits, as well as those support packs to make the Grey Stalkers in particular. And yeah, Russ is pretty integral to this list. I think taking him, unless you're building them as an allied detachment, which I think is super cool, Russ is going to make this army way better because the ability to just gain +1 strength in the charge and having such a heavy assault-focused army means you can get in people's face and then, yeah, start punching. Start punching at strength 5, strength 6 chain bayonets and wound on 2s rerolling everything. Lots of cool options in here. But I think my favorite part is that if you just wanted to paint a couple Space Wolves for Horus Heresy because you love the fact that they just show up everywhere and start sticking their noses in people's business, that Black Watch detachment is an allied detachment for any loyalists. It's going to be super fun, and I'm definitely making that. So be prepared. That will be the first thing I probably build after I add the support units and stuff to my my Raven Guard army, is a little Black Watch unit of Space Wolves led by Geiger to go follow them around and be like, we're keeping an eye on you, and so I can paint up some different colors of power armor. So anyway, there you go. We'll see you next for the Imperial Fist. Till then, I'm Ash. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continue to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.